Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GDT Live presented by Game Day Tarps podcast. I'm Dayton Camo, alongside with me, my co-host, Colton Davies. Today, it's a little bit of a different one. It's a recap of last night, and then around 11:30, we've got Stephen Ellis hopping on from Daily Faceoff. It's going to be a good one today. But Colton, first off, let's recap that game last night. What a, I guess, goal fest, you could say, by one team. And it was a rock'em sock'em, I guess you could say, throwback to the Don Cherry days. There was some fisticuffs flying last night.
There was some action, that's for damn sure. It was, quite the animosity between the two teams there. Everything boiled over in the third period, of course. 140 penalty minutes in total. What a Stanley Cup final that was. Hell of a game.
It was the most playoff minutes in a final game since like the 1980s, I think I saw in a tweet somewhere. So
yeah,
that was insane.
Yeah, very fun stuff. Obviously not the result the Oilers wanted, so they get ready back for Thursday, but holy hell, that Panthers team, they're just a wagon.
I did say yesterday Brad Marchand would score the game winner. Brad Marchand scored the first goal. If he would have scored the second, I would have got my prediction bang on. Yep. But that's on a different. That's a different story. I want to touch on the physicality real quick. We just talked about it before the game. Yep. That scrum started off by Frederick. He got dropped. Every Oiler that went into that scrum essentially got dropped, other than Darnell Nurse, I guess. But what did you think of that?
I thought it was crazy. Obviously, Frederick goes in and that whole altercation, I believe it was with Bennett, kind of goes off. And then Gadjevich goes and grabs Nurse. AJ Greer's in there with Ekholm, I believe it was. Connor Brown and Nate Schmidt, like
a little bit outside there.
Yeah, a little for sure. But what it was fun though. It was fun. It made some good entertainment, of course. So good for them.
Yeah, it was I was watching, or I was just scrolling on TikTok, and I saw a video come up, and it said Game 4 warm up, and it was just a video of the one of the Goon movies, and it was just like, it's pretty much what it's gonna be, unless one of the teams comes to play. I mean, I guess the Oilers need to come to play. The Panthers showed that they are hot and they're rolling, but Connor McDavid said the Oilers are gonna get going. But we didn't see it last night, that's for sure.
No, back to the drawing board, right? That's pretty much what it is. But you got any clips that we were going to roll there or anything?
No, not today. I don't have any clips for this one yet. But I do want to touch on one thing before we get started. The Calder Trophy was handed out today. Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens picking that one up. Do you think Hudson deserved it, or do you think it should have gone to a guy like Celebrini or Dustin Wolf?
I thought, based on the season that Hudson had, I mean, I get it. Dustin Wolf, though, I think was outstanding for Calgary and almost got them into that, that playoff position. I don't know, man. It's tough. I'd almost say I saw a lot of people saying Wolf got robbed. But we'll see. We're going to get Stephen Ellis on here in like half an hour, not even 25 minutes. We'll get his opinion on it too. But I don't know. I wondered about Celebrini, because Celebrini is young, right? 18, playing on a not the best team, but he put up good numbers. So I was surprised a little bit to see him have like a number of fourth place votes, because I kind of thought it was unanimous that he'd be top 3, but he got a number of fourth place votes as well, which was interesting. But I don't know. What did you think? You're more of the Montreal guy.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Montreal Canadiens hockey this season, and to be honest, I wasn't as high on Lane Hudson as some other people were. I know this is like a rookie points totals, or the award is based off of rookie points totals, but I just don't think that Hudson is like that all-around type of player. Yeah, he might have been one of the best rookies this year, but man, so was Dustin Wolf. You talk about almost getting them to the playoffs, and I think if Dustin Wolf gets Calgary to the playoffs this year, that he's winning the Calder, in my opinion. I don't know, but I think
Yeah,
Lane
if
Hudson. I think it was
it's,
honestly
I think so.
between Wolf and Hudson, whichever one made the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair take. If Calgary had gotten there, I think there would have been a lot more votes for Wolf. Randy's just popped into the chat. Randy, of course, is out of Calgary, so I'm sure he kind of would chime in here and have something to say about Wolf getting that second place nod for Calder. But I don't know. I thought he was great. Like, he's going to be fantastic, man. I watched him in Everett for a number of years, and what a goaltender! What a goaltender! Like, he won WHL goalie of the year. He's won CHL goalie of the year. This guy that's won everything in terms of goaltending awards at every level. And I think he's just getting started in Calgary, of course, right? Like, he very well could be a Vezina Trophy winner in 5 years or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Dustin Wolf has kind of came into Calgary and taken their goalie problems off the table a
Yeah.
little bit. They might still be looking for a backup down the road. Uh, Dan Vladar, not the biggest, not the best backup goalie you could have in terms of what's out there. But I mean,
Yeah.
if Dustin Wolf is going to be playing 60 plus a season, that might not be a problem. And Wolf looks like the guy that might be able to do that. Um, there's goalies like him. I like the way he plays. He's a smaller guy, but he doesn't play small in his crease. I think, to be honest, that was the biggest Calder snub, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's more than fair, just because you got to think about how just the impact that they'd had. But I mean, Hudson also put up point totals that were astronomical, in the sense that stuff we had, the Canadians in the NHL hadn't seen by a rookie defenseman in a long time, in a while. So there's two sides to it, of course. But yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, if Calgary would have got to that playoffs, then maybe this would be a different story. Another thing, though, speaking of Montreal, they talked about getting some help for Ivan Demidov. What do you kind of make of that?
Well, first off, I think Kent Hughes has been declining phone calls left, right, and center from Moscow asking for Ivan Demidov back. I don't know if you saw those articles at the start of the week, but I was kind of like, oh no, this might happen. But then on the other side of things, I'm thinking Kent Hughes is just declining phone calls left, right, and center, because there's no way the Montreal Canadiens let Ivan Demidov go back to Russia. And
No.
I think the perfect thing for this team is finding a second line centerman, finding someone that you can slide into that top six alongside with Demidov and allow him to grow. Like Caulfield and Suzuki have played together almost since the start of their time in Montreal, and they've kind of grown together. Martin St. Louis has thrown in Uri Slavkovsky, another young guy to play with. So I think if he can go out and shop for a mid 20-year-old that's able to be a mentor to Demidov, but also can come in and play minutes and play a big role, I think that's exactly what they're looking for. And they also said they're shopping for a defenseman. And I saw on the article that Elliot Friedman posted there on Sportsnet that they might be looking at Nick Hague out of Vegas.
That wouldn't be a bad grab.
They were saying that Hague, it's going to be tough for him to kind of get some extra money in Vegas on the back end, because they've just poured so much into Petro and Hanifin and Theodore, which are honestly some higher end guys than Nick Hague. But Nick Hague is like that tall left-hand shot defenseman. He's kind of a stay-at-home guy that kind of mimics a Mike Matheson in some ways. And I know Montreal is really high on Mike Matheson. So if they can get someone like that to kind of come in and replace a David Savard, a nice, steady, stay-at-home guy, I think that might be what they're looking for.
Would they replace Mike Matheson?
Nah, Mike Matheson, I heard that they're going to be trying to extend him. He's only 32. He won't ask. I really can't see Mike Matheson asking for much more than what he already makes. And they love him. They love the style of play that he brings. He's mobile. He's tall. I just really can't see them moving away from him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm interested to see how Montreal fills out that spot though. Like in the terms of trying to grab a top 6 player and find somebody that can play with Demidov. It'll be interesting, I think, to see what route they go down. Because is Mitch Marner an option for them? I can't remember what Montreal's cap is like, but is that something they could fit? Like who knows, right? And then
they're gonna be shopping around. I think their caps going up. I mean, obviously, caps going up around the league, but Montreal's got some room to play with. I think even before the cap extension. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually make a decent splash here in the offseason. And the thing that kind of makes it more intriguing to me is that the Atlantic Division is literally so open, especially now with like Toronto kind of going back into the blender. No one knows what's going to go on in the 6. So in Boston, they weren't as high up in the standings as people thought they were going to be. So yeah, just something to keep in mind that like this Atlantic Division is going to be wide open next year. Ottawa could even make a splash here and jump into that top 3, I think.
Yeah, like Randy just pointed out too. Anderson's on the market, right? So is that somebody Montreal would like? I don't know.
I don't know. It could be a nice mobile right-handed shot defenseman. He can score goals as well. I've always been pretty high on Rasmus Anderson. I think Calgary could get a pretty nice package too for him back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing I wanted to touch on too was Don Waddell spoke to Aaron Portzline of The Athletic for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Columbus is looking at adding so Don Waddell said that they want to add a top 6 forward and also wants to upgrade the defense, particularly on the right side. And it's going to be interesting. There's a sense that they want to make a sweeping change in goaltending as well. Get rid of Elvis Merzlikins, maybe is kind of what the idea would be. But Jet Greaves is a goaltender, another young goalie that is kind of taking the reins of a team. And Greaves had a few starts this year, a dozen or whatever, and he looked great. I know from a lot of Columbus fans on Twitter and stuff, like they really admire him. There's a lot of potential with Greaves. But I'm interested to see the defense because Columbus has somebody like Damon Severson. Like they can't. I think they're stuck with that contract. They could buy him out, but like you're stuck with that money for a long time.
Yeah, I think Columbus's decor is one of those ones that's like hit or miss. They've got a pretty strong decor, especially on that left side that we saw. You mentioned the left side. It's got Ivan. Does Ivan Provorov still play for the Blue Jackets? That might be one of the craziest things I've ever said. Yeah, Ivan Provorov. That's a guy that you build around on the back end. He might be older, getting to the later stages of his career, but I think if you have a guy like him, you pair up a right-handed shot, whether that be someone that you're picking up or someone that you move up the lineup. But I think you start with Provorov, work your way down for sure.
Yeah, they got Denton Matejchuk. They've got lots of Stanislav Svozil. Like they've got a lot of room there to grow, but you're looking at a right shot defenseman. You know what right shot defenseman is hitting the market that's playing in the Stanley Cup final? Aaron Ekblad. That's not like if you're Columbus, do you go and swing for that? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I think they do, honestly. But the thing is, what do you have to give up for Aaron Ekblad?
Especially they would have to. they would have to buy somebody out or get rid of somebody's contract, whether that's like I said, like I think they're stuck with Severson's contract because buying it out would just put them into hell, like cap hell, exactly like how Minnesota has been with Parise and Suter until this year.
Now,
But
no, sorry.
You move on from Elvis, like he's kind of fallen down the depth chart in terms of his reliability in net. There's a number of players they could probably move on from in terms of cap, but they also have money that they can afford. So
if you're Columbus on the back end, do you move a right-hand shot like Dante Fabro, or do you try and move the right-hand shot in Eric Goodbranson?
Well, Goodbranson has that larger cap hit, right? Like that was the one that made no sense where they signed him and then had to get rid of what was it, Bjorkstrand?
Yeah.
So
I also
like,
don't
that one made
understand
no
why they got rid of Jiricek.
They sent I can't remember the reason behind that one, but yeah, it was he goes to what? He went to Minnesota, right?
Minnesota,
So
yeah.
that's an interesting one too. I don't know. I think it's interesting, and yeah, like Randy said, Flames should swing for Ekblad. The Flames should just do whatever they can this offseason. Really.
Yeah, the Flames, I think any addition that they can make, especially since we just talked, like you guys heard it. I went on that rant about Dustin Wolf. I think he should have won the Calder. I think if Calgary makes additions next year, especially scoring wise, they've got Matthew Coronado. He's going to be a stud for this team. I think Coronado's coming out of Harvard, one of the better players that Calgary has in their system. So I think that'll be great for them. As long as they can just keep making solid additions in the offseason, I think Calgary might actually be fine this coming season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like Coronado's going to be great. I'm excited to see what he can kind of continue to do with that team. And then the other one that I was curious about, because I saw this from Elliot Friedman this morning, but the Jason Robertson stuff. Like, did you read any of that, Dee?
I didn't. No, I didn't see that. What's going on there? Enlighten me, sir.
I'll try to find the tweet quickly. But it was about how Robertson, they might be looking to move him because of money. Like they basically can't afford it. So they would move him in order to re-sign Michael Granlund, which is that was my reaction too. I gotta find the thing because I want to read you the exact quote that I saw, the exact tweet. So yeah, from Elliot Friedman, it says Jason Robertson's name is out there, could be moved to make room for Granlund extension if Dumba or Lyubushkin can't be shifted out. Sportsnet 590. So
I don't know. That's tough. It makes sense, though, obviously.
It's very funny to me is what it is, to be brutally honest.
Well, we have Steven down there in the back. So do you want to bring him on? You want to read him on here?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get Steven on. We'll talk some combine stuff and kind of get his insight on what's going on there. I'll let you run the transition. But welcome on prospect analyst from Daily Faceoff, Steven Ellis.
Steven, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. How was the time at the combine?
You know, it's one of my favorite times of the year because I don't care about what's going on the actual combine itself, but it's some of the best player access you're going to get because there were like 90 guys who participated, something like 80 players talked. So like that's the best access, but also these guys are done for the year. They don't have any more games to play. They don't have any events to do. Like they're so loose. They're just relaxed. They actually just like talking. And then everything changes the minute they get drafted, and then it's in front of PR people, and it's not as much fun. So this is like my favorite time. Plus, the food's always good in Buffalo. Chef's my favorite Italian place. It's the best.
I wanted to ask you about that, about the food. What was your favorite food item?
Oh, it was pretty much I didn't eat anything else but Chef's the one time there, but that place is awesome. Like it's like the one where if you go there on the Friday afternoon before the media availability, you will always find at least one NHL GM there. And I think there were two when I was there. So good good times. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And I also went to, there's a place, Dave and Adams. They have like a massive store. It's like a card store on one half, and the other half is like jerseys and stuff. And it's like the best place to find the best jersey in the NHL, the goat head jersey. And then you go to the sports card side, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool too. So it's like the size of a Walmart. It's awesome, and I wish every city had something like that.
That's so cool. I love that. I'd love to go there. That sounds like an awesome place.
It's a good place. I can't complain.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So who impressed you the most? Who, like, I know you kind of went around and did a lot of pictures and stuff, but in terms of the combine fitness testing, was there anyone that kind of stuck out to you?
I think Simon Wang, and that's a guy that I've been high on. I know he's a very raw prospect, like a guy that just. I understand the concerns that he's not the most refined player, and he made a lot of mistakes when he went to the OHL. But what you saw from him was like he drew one of the biggest crowds, and there was not as much media as usual there, but he drew a big crowd on the Saturday. A lot of people wanted to know his story, and his story is cool because he moved over from China when he was 12 years old. He knew English a bit there, but had to kind of like adjust to it more when he got here. But it wasn't until he was 14 that he really started to take hockey seriously and like, I want to keep playing. 2 years later, gets drafted to the OHL, commits to college. Like, that's a short span. Like, most of the guys who are getting committing to college have been playing hockey for 10 years at this point. He basically had like 2 really competitive years. But when you skate as well as he does, it makes it pretty easy to get a lot of attention. So yeah, like Simon Wang was the guy. I just literally before I got on here, I just finished a story with him. Big fan of his game, and I think he'll drop in the draft, but we should expect him to become the highest drafted player out of China ever. That's
so cool. That's so cool.
Something that I noticed, Steven, he's a guy that's projected to be in some top fives. Caleb Desnoyers, he actually didn't finish in a top 10 in any of the events at the Combine. Does that kind of surprise you, or would that worry you in any sense?
I believe he didn't participate in anything. I think that was part of it also because he was in his regular street clothes. On one hand, no, I don't. Those numbers are not relevant to the most part. Like it's more of like, put it this way: Sam Bennett failed miserably in a lot of the physical tests. Would anyone say he's not a physical guy out there? So to me, none of that is really relevant. Like, so I like to know more about how much bigger the players got. But with Dane, like with him, he just got back from the Memorial Cup, and most players that do that don't participate in anything other than just like some light drills at all. So, yeah, I'd say it doesn't bother me at all.
That's fair. That's fair. I thought maybe since first off, I saw the picture in him on Instagram of all like the top 5 players in their like draft uniforms. That's probably why I thought he competed. But yeah, someone like Desnoyers, just seeing him not like in those top 10s, it kind of shocked me for a second.
Yeah,
but like now that you say that, it makes sense.
Yeah, there was a bunch of guys who didn't participate. Like I don't know if any of the Russian players did, because at least they didn't come and talk afterwards. So yeah, I just remember him being in like a different outfit than everybody else. So I don't believe he participated.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of, you said Russians, but I'm going to go a little over to Europe and go to Sweden technically. So Scandinavia, Anton Frondell. What do you make of him? Because I feel like this is a guy that some people are maybe overlooking.
I've talking to some scouts. They worry about his consistency. And I think we saw that at points in the U18s where he was very invisible. And, granted, yeah, I understand in the first game, like he didn't sleep. He flew over from Sweden to play in Texas. Like I understand that being difficult, but like the playoff round, we didn't really see a ton of what he was capable of. But that's a small sample size in the entire year. When you look at kind of what he's able to do, like he played center, he played the wing, he did put up some great numbers. I just don't know if he's like this high impact guy going in the NHL. Like I like him, but I don't know if I would take him at number 3, like some Blackhawk fans have wondered, like, especially when you can really go out and get potentially the smartest player in the draft and Porter Martone, or you get James Higgins to be just another good centerman for that team. That being said, you look at what Frondell can do. He's got an outstanding shot. Like, give him that open space, he's going to exploit it. Kind of like what we saw with Cole Eiserman last year. His skating just isn't there yet, though. I think that's the thing. Like, it's fine, but like there are guys higher up in this draft boards that are better skaters. So like he can overpower people with his two-way game. He's got that physical size. His hockey sense is fine. Defense or in transition, I know is something where a lot of scouts are looking at. It's like he can get a little lost in the neutral zone and could give away the puck a bit easily there. They want to see a bit more intensity, but when he's on his game, he can dominate. We'll see if he goes 3 or if he falls out of the top 5.
There are some guys like Brady Martin. I know Colton is really big on him. Colton, what do you think of Brady Martin? And Steven, also, I guess, what do you think of Brady Martin?
Brady Martin is, we'll see, Brady Martin's one of my favorite prospects in hockey. And it's because he's relentless. And he wants to hit everyone. He could score. He could defend. He's not the best skater. Like I'd say skating is probably the weakest element of his game, but he's just moving around at all times and he's trying to make things happen. And I ask scouts at the combine, like outside of Misa, outside of Shaver, like who do you win with in this draft? Brady Martin's name showed up the most. And that's because he plays like a Brad Marchand. He plays like a Sam Bennett. He's got a bit of Corey Perry in him. All 3 of those guys, you might, if you go look at the playoffs right now, are Conn Smythe candidates. Like that's the thing. Like he's able to go out there and do so much. So I think Brady Martin's going to be an excellent player. Utah has been heavily linked to him. Philadelphia has been linked to him. Boston's been linked to him. He doesn't go past Boston is my guess.
That was my thing too, right? Like I know you and I have kind of private messaged a little bit, Steven, about it too, but I don't see him getting past Utah after everything that's kind of happened. But you maybe have more insight on that, but it just really seems like Utah is like bought into this.
I'd say there's a very, very high chance he's going to Utah, but at the same time, like there's rumors they'll trade down. And it's hard to believe those rumors ever because it just doesn't happen. When was the last time a team traded down in the top 5? When's the last time a team traded down in the top 10? Like it just doesn't happen. And if they took Brady Martin at 4, like it won't feel like a stretch to me. Like that's the thing. It's would you like Higgins? Yeah. But physically, like I would take Brady Martin over James Higgins. It really depends on what your need is. And when it comes to Utah, Brady Martin's not this big fella, but people will look at his height and they'll discount. Like I got into an argument with someone on Twitter. It's like, oh, he's so small. It's like, this dude is from a farm family. Like this guy could fight a cow. Like he's not exactly like if he wanted to beat up all the tractors from the Cars movie, he probably could. Like that's the thing. Like Brady Martin is going to be a physical beast. I'm not worried about it in the slightest.
Oh,
I mean, as someone that comes from a valley, an area with a lot of farm boys, I'll stick to that. That's probably a true statement.
Oh, I'll say when I was a kid, I played in a hockey tournament where we played a farming community, and they kept making fun of us as these like city dudes, and it's like, we're crying out there. We're thinking we're gonna get like demolished, but we actually beat the crap out of them, so it was great. But seeing these guys come in there and just they were like tough dudes, man. I would just not want to mess with them. And I remember getting knocked down by one of them. Like, okay, back then I was going out to kill people when I played in this house league. Yeah.
Well, you talked about playing in a house league. Just quickly, don't mean to get off topic, but have you thrown on those pads behind you lately?
Okay, so not those ones particular, but I those are when I play outdoors. But I play after tonight. I will have played 5 games in about 24 hours. So I got my main pads in my car right now. I actually just, if I could find, I'll show you this 1 second. I wanted a jersey to go with my Team Canada helmet I have, which is this one here. So it's like a vinyl wrap that I got. It's got my number and my name on it. But what I didn't have was a jersey to match. So I got myself a Four Nations face-off jersey with my name and number on it. So gonna use that tonight. Looking forward to that. And I'm playing for a team trying to make it to the finals tonight. So there's no pressure whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Last night I played a game where we actually didn't get a shot on net. That was fun. Good time.
Safe to say you got a workout in there.
Yeah, it's a good I get to play with a lot of pretty high quality players, so it's pretty fun to get pushed that way. But last night we played against members of like Team India's ball hockey team, and they are insanely talented. Like it's nuts how they play.
Yeah, I think I watched a video like years ago or something about like some people from Vancouver that played on like an Indian ball hockey team and they were actually like elite.
Yeah, it's because like it's for a lot of areas like you don't get access to ice, so a lot of people come over, they see the cost of playing hockey, and they're like, I'm not really interested. Ball hockey is a really good like medium ground where you're still playing competitive hockey. I've had guys who've played in the NHL come and play ball hockey and say like, "Oh my god, that cardio is insane!" Like they couldn't keep up. Guys that could play in the NHL could not keep up in ball hockey. So when you make people make fun of it, it's like, dude, I don't know if you physically can handle it. It's a lot of running. You can't just glide out there.
No, you can't. It's definitely a workout, that's for sure. Speaking of working out, I was intrigued by something in your tweets about why a lot of players were comparing themselves to Adam Lowry, or in that sense, what was that about?
So it's interesting because when you look at Adam Lowry, he's not exactly a guy that like. There used to be a point where people are like, "Oh, I want to compare myself to Connor McDavid." It's like, well, that's not realistic. But when it comes to what Adam Lowry does, like he's a guy that is a leader. He's a guy that people really respect, and I bet you there'd be a lot of guys in the NHL that would like consider him to be one of the best leaders in the league. But he's a guy that he's a really good penalty killer. He can hit people. Like he's always in the top 100 for hits. He can win faceoffs. Like he's very versatile, and he's an underrated point producer. Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of points on the board, but he had 16 goals this year, and like that's still pretty impressive. So when it comes to him, it's just that hardworking nature that guys really like, and he's a leader, very well respected. So it seems like a lot of people look to him as a guy, like, which is interesting because, like, again, he's not really a mainstream NHL player, right? Like you got to be you then talk to the guys who say Adam Lowry, and it's like some of these guys are really, really smart, like students of the game. So you got to do a bit more research to see just how good Adam Lowry is. But these guys are looking at this and saying like, I want to be like him. And obviously Lowry's built a pretty solid career for himself.
Yeah, we saw some players like kind of what's the word, comparing themselves to some higher end players. But this year I kind of thought I saw a little bit more of those odd questions from GMs or teams. I know last year TJ Ginla said he was a Pegasus. There's a couple odd answers. This year Desnoyers had that answer about being on the island alone with a teammate and given a baseball bat. What would he do? Hit a homer. What do you think of all these questions? And if you were in that situation, like what would you answer?
Well, Montreal Canadiens seem to be on drugs when they ask most of the questions because they're the ones who ask almost every strange question. But it's like at the same time, you're trying to get to understand the player's thought process. And with Desnoyers saying like he wants to hit a home run, okay, yeah, like most of the people, from my understanding, said that they would go and beat the crap out of the other person and take the water. And it's like you want to see someone who's competitive. You want to see someone who will do that. And the one that was, I think, the more underrated question was like, if there was $100 in like a pile of dirt or $20 just laying in front of you, like what would you take? A lot of the people say both. You want everything. And some of the people are like, I'll be playing in Montreal. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm good. And I think that also just shows a level of confidence in your game too. So it's more of just like you're trying to find some like their thought process more than what their answer is. And I think that's kind of where those questions come into. But that feels like that's like 50% of the questioning for players at the draft combine. It's like, I kind of sick of hearing about what your animal player are at this point, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's odd. It's not really what you would expect from these high-end teams, people high up in organizations asking questions, but I mean, whatever gets the mind flowing, I guess.
My favorite, like there was one where I asked a scout a couple years ago where I won't say which player it was, but there was a player that teams were starting to meet with and all kind of came to the consensus that they were like really dumb, but they wanted to meet with this player to just see firsthand like how stupid they thought that guy was. And I thought that was pretty funny. Not this year's draft class. It's an NHLer. I'm not going to say, but it was pretty funny.
Big Willie Styles wants to know, Steven, what team asked the best question?
Well, it's got to be the Montreal Canadiens because all the questions are strange. But like I'd say there's not it felt like just a lot of the teams when you ask like outside of Montreal, like what questions did you get? Most people are kind of just like, oh, they're just pretty standard, like nothing too crazy. So I don't feel like we got really anything too unique outside of what Montreal asked. So I'll give them the thumbs up pretty much every year.
Well,
I
there
think
was
that's fair.
something that Colton brought up earlier. He texted me and he brought it up to me before we went live. On Daily Faceoff, there was an article about NCAA teams possibly competing in the Spengler Cup. What do you think about that?
I like it. I like it a lot because actually we've seen Canada bring some NCAA guys the last couple of years. And the Spengler, to me, if I could go to the Spengler or the World Juniors, I'd pick the Spengler Cup almost every time because the Spengler Cup, A, is better hockey, but B, it's like the greatest atmosphere in the world. And for a lot of these players, like this is an awesome time for these guys to go and experience year up and go see what all the hype is. And I think they'll be a really talented team. Like, are they going to win? Probably not, because they're still playing against pro hockey players. And yeah, it might not be a ton of high-end talent on these pro teams, but HC Davos, you can always count on them being competitive. And a team out of Czechia or a team out of France, like those teams will always be extremely skilled in comparison. But I think that you could still, if you're one of these guys, or if you're going to this thing, you're looking at this and saying like, I'm just here for the experience. I can't wait, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they compete.
Yeah, 100%. I think as someone that's been to a World Juniors, I went to the one in Halifax in 2023. It was probably one of the better ones in the past decade or so. I still think that going to Vaillant Arena in Switzerland for those 10 days or whatever it is would be absolutely electric. You go in and you have the European fans doing all their chants and stuff throughout the play. I think it's sick.
I'm trying to see if I can see it, but I have an HC Davos Spengler Cup game-worn jersey from Rito von Arx, one of my all-time favorite players, in my jersey tree over there. And one year when the Spengler Cup it was 21, I want to say, in COVID, when that the second time it got canceled, like the day the tournament was supposed to begin, I hung the jersey up with a bunch of candles below. My parents are like, "What the hell are you doing?" But I'm like, "This is a sad day. We're gonna lose the Spengler Cup."
Did you say Von Arx?
Yeah, Rito von Arx. Yeah, number 83.
Is that spelled VONARX?
Yes. So
damn, that's my cousin's last name.
Oh, hell yeah. So he, the reason I like him in particular was because in NHL 06, the video game, there was a move specifically, I know, like having a GameCube controller in my hand, the yellow stick, the C stick. If you hit it up, you'd throw the puck in the air and you bat it out of the air. He was the only player on that team that could do it. Everyone else was too low of an overall. So I instantly became a fan of him because I kept playing as Davos because I'm like, who is this team? This is cool. And that's how I figured out how good Jonas Hiller was going to be and things like that. Okay. And so I became a Davos fan because of that game.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever noticed this, Steven, but my first time watching the Spengler Cup, some team had a penalty. They took a penalty and they showed the penalty box cam.
Yeah.
And the sponsor is Swiss Air. So the penalty box seats are literally airplane seats that they put in there for the tournament. I thought that was crazy.
North America is so boring when it comes to like having a good fun time at hockey games. Swiss hockey fans know how to party. They know how to have fun. Like the Spengler Cup, their team could be terrible. Davos could be last place. Doesn't matter. They're having a great time. Like that's what makes European hockey so much fun. And I got to thank, again, the Spengler Cup for being the reason I even care about watching international hockey in the first place.
I love that. Speaking of NCAA, I know in your notebook you talked to a couple players. Cole Reshny kind of spoke about his commitment. What was kind of the vibe around players there? Nobody really wanted to talk about it, it kind of seemed like.
Yeah, like players were just kind of like, especially ones where there's been rumors of guys going to the NCAA. Like they're keeping it to their chest. They're not really saying anything at this point. And some players also like flat out said like, I could be in college next year, but it really depends on what the NHL team that drafts me wants. And that's the thing. Like we're going to get a big influx of players making decisions shortly after the draft. But right now, we don't know what's going to happen for a lot of cases. So it's a whole new world for so many players. And I think it's exciting, especially for the guys. It's exciting for guys who had previously committed to the NCAA, like Simon Wang, who I mentioned earlier, who then got to go play in Oshawa a lot this past season because of this ruling, and he still gets to go over to college. And it's having the ability to do both is huge. It's not for everyone. Like there are some players where I don't know if playing 30 games is as beneficial as the full 65 game grind, but in a lot of cases, like for a goalie, for example, at first I'm like, really, Ivan Kovic going to Michigan? Like I feel like you'll get a lot more shots playing in Brampton next year. But then you look at it and there's a lot more goalies that have gone to the NCAA and become good NHL goaltenders as of late than guys come out of the OHL. Like you look at Connor Hellebuck and you look at Jake Ottinger, like some pretty decent players who went that route instead. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where this landscape goes forward. I don't care where a player plays as long as they're getting the best opportunities possible.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
No, go ahead, Colton.
No, I get it. I understand that. Like, I think a lot of players, yeah, it's just they're going to wait till after the draft, right? And let their NHL teams kind of decide for them in a sense. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
talked about goaltender Steven. Jacob Oster just committed to Vermont. Mathis Rousseau committed to Maine. What do you think about some of these overage goaltenders that are kind of they aged out of junior and are now going to the NCAA to kind of get another shot? Do you see any of them maybe making the NHL here in the next couple of years, or are they kind of AHL guys?
They weren't drafted for, they weren't ignored in the draft by accident, I guess I'd say, is, whether it be due to size, other factors in some cases. But when it looks at like those two guys in particular, it's going to be interesting because they had really good junior careers. They get a second lease on their career here. And I like the move. Like when this got announced, I thought goalies were the ones who were going to benefit the most, because in a lot of cases, these guys would have either use sports or they go play minor pro. Well, if you go play in the ECHL, you're not getting scouted there anymore. Like you're pretty much giving up, hoping you can go to Europe and make a bit more money. But now this way it builds, like it gives these guys a lot of opportunities, and I'm all for it. So I think it's a really good opportunity for those guys in particular, and I think it's going to be something where it'll be interesting to see where some of these guys end up going. Like Austin Ellis, another guy that's going to have a good opportunity to go to college and be a decent goaltender. So I like it.
Yeah, Elliott was someone that kind of rose up the charts here in everyone's mind, I guess. I was kind of a stranger to him, but now after his season with London at the Memorial Cup, I think if a team doesn't give him at least a shot, I think they'd be laughing.
So Toronto's bringing him to training camp, from my understanding.
Right.
He was part of the development camp 2 years ago, so the Leafs definitely have an eye on him. But I still think there's something where you look at him and it's like, I don't see him being an NHL goalie. But at this, like, you look at those numbers, you're like, that's insane. So
yeah, he had a pretty decent season, I'll say that. John Bankert down in the comments giving me a little bit of crap because I called him a decent goaltender. He said, wasn't Elliott 50-3? Yes, he was.
Something ridiculous. Yeah. Speaking of goaltenders, what do you kind of suspect for Josh Ravensbergen? Is that a first round pick? Do you think somebody takes a flyer on him, or is he falling out of the first round now?
I have been saying for a while Columbus is going to draft him, and I think it'd be silly for them not to with that second pick, because they've got a good pipeline, but they're lacking a really high-end goalie prospect. Ravensbergen will probably be that guy. But then you can look, there's a few other teams that you can make an argument for. Like maybe Chicago would say, like, hey, okay, Adam Gayon might not be the guy we were hoping he would be. Could we take a chance on him here and maybe have him and Spencer Knight, like make that a 1-2 duo? Maybe. I think that could be a bit of a stretch. But teams that have two picks, I think, really should look at that there, especially this year where after about 24 or 25, you're looking at guys who most years wouldn't be first round caliber players. So take a chance on the goalie with the most potential. So yeah, I think he will be a first rounder. Jack Ivankovic's another goalie I love. I know I haven't raved about him for a while, but he's small. He's 5'11". I see some similarities to him and Dustin Wolf, but Dustin Wolf's still a bigger goalie. And so that's something here where we were hoping at the draft combine when they put the heights and weights that he'd be bigger, and he isn't. So his dad's 6'5". You're kind of hoping that you can get into that frame there. But when you don't grow for 2 years at this point, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous there, but I still think pure talent wise, Jack Ivankovic's great. But then you look at Ravensbergen, the size, the speed, the stuff he was able to do specifically last year. Like, this guy's a great goaltender.
I have something to add on to that because I'm curious. Was there anyone, I don't know if I just glitched there really hard, but was there anybody that was undersized that ended up being bigger when they measured in?
I think Riker Lee, like, he started the year at 5'10", and now he's 6 foot.
Okay.
So I believe he would be the most notable that I could think of off the top of my head. I know I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Will Horkoff's like 20 pounds heavier than he was at the start of the season. So there's that, which is cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I got one more for you on my end. Do you think it's possible, just because I've thrown this idea around and I just like to ponder stuff, do you think it's possible the Islanders will take Hagen's 1, or is that just no?
The marketing team would probably love that, but I think you got to go for best player available, and that's Matthew Schaefer. Like that's it. Like that's a situation where the Islanders don't have any good prospects other than Cal Ritchie, and they just need to pick somebody. And you go there and say, "Hey, a 1-2 punch of Schaefer and Noah Dobson, sign me up." So it's a big offseason for that team. I think getting Schaefer would be a huge one for him, and it seems like they like him too. So I feel like it's going to be Schaefer. And even then, like, I would still take Mies over the Higgins to that point anyways.
Yeah, I think they'd be a little bit in the wrong spot if they didn't take Matthew Schaefer. I think that's the position for most teams, although you do have to look at needs and what the team needs. I think Matthew Schaefer is definitely one of those guys you build your team around in the future.
Yeah, I fully agree with that one.
Wait, I have to ask you one more question, and you know it's coming. Well, how did Nathan Bame or Tommy look?
They smiled a lot.
That's good. That's all that counts.
Tommy had a pretty good turnout, I believe. I sent you a picture. Actually, I'm looking at it right now on my other screen. He had a good turnout of people coming to talk to him. He was just happy to be there. So, two guys, I hope have a good draft.
Sweet. That's awesome. I appreciate that. We appreciate you coming on, Steven. We're going to get you back on probably after the draft sometime. Really appreciate this, man. You're the best, and you do awesome work over at Daily Faceoff. So everybody go check out Steven's stuff, as most of the chat knows you already. So we appreciate this, man.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Steven, if you get those guys to the finals and they don't bring you back in, you got to go find a new team.
Ironically, the team that I'm playing against, potentially preventing them from the finals, is the team I'm playing for next season.
Oh my!
So I'm very conflicted on this one tonight. So we'll see how that one goes.
Well, hopefully awesome. that New Jersey gets some puck marks on it. You make a lot of saves.
I had to make quite a few last night. So I also played a game when I was in Buffalo. I got a shutout. So I'm kind of riding a good high right now.
Was there any scouts there?
Well, they were all in the city, but I think they were all doing anything else but watching a random ball hockey game.
You could be the new emergency backup. Come on,
man!
New e-bug.
When the Oilers pulled Stuart Skinner, I got tagged like 10 times yesterday in the Oilers tweet, like, let him play. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. Who cares that I see my mantra in ball hockey is I got to make cool saves. Unfortunately, that comes at the expense of making easy saves. And sometimes I allow terrible goals, but then the next save, I'll do a Dominic Hasek diving save. And it'll make no sense. And that's never great. And I'm sore every day, but hey, it's more fun.
Well, what do they say? It's all about having fun, folks. And that with Steven Ellis. Steven, we thank you for hopping on again. Colton, is there anything you have for Steven before we go?
No, that's it. Just everybody go check out his work. He had a great notebook on the combine and some really great stuff as well. And Steven, go make a lot of saves tonight, and I hope to see some highlights on Twitter.
All right, that's the plan.
Sounds good, man.
All right, have a good one, Steven.
See ya.
Well, Colton, another great episode there today. Steven Ellis hopping on.
Yeah, the lovely, the great Steven Ellis, the GOAT. Really appreciate him coming on. I want to get to a comment in the chat from Big Willie, because I almost bursted out laughing at this comment. Randy must be out on a walk with his new walker. Good God. Willie is a funny man. Willie, we'll have to get you on one day just to talk some Minnesota hockey. You can teach us all about the Minnesota high school tournament, because I don't know much about that other than their crazy ass fucking hairdos that they have.
If anybody wants some detail on the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament or on how their seasons run, go watch Home State on YouTube by the MSHSL or Minnesota State High School Hockey League, whatever. They do a great series. They did one with the Minnetonka Skippers, one with the Eden Prairie Eagles, and one with the Moorhead Spuds, Carter Rancliffe. I fell in love with that series. Go tune into it. You'll learn a lot about Minnesota high school hockey.
Oh, looks like Willie's down. So we'll definitely get Willie on one of these days. chat
Oh,
with him.
yeah.
We just got a spike in viewers. No, I'm excited. This is going to be great. Steven was an awesome guest today. We encourage everybody to go and watch that back. We had Steven on for about over half an hour there it was. So wonderful chat with Steven. Went through the whole combine, got some notes on a handful of prospects, and
Looks like he's going to be an e-bug.
Good. Yeah, it could be the new e-bug for the Oilers if things keep going downhill. But just kidding. But no, that was great. Steven was awesome. We have Austin Elliott coming on the program on Wednesday. So that will be for tomorrow. That interview will be different, though. It'll be pre-recorded, but we will still have that interview for you guys. So London Knights goaltender and Memorial Cup champion Austin Elliott will join the show tomorrow. And then we're looking at some other guests as well. We're going to, Randy might come on sometime. We can talk to him about some Flame stuff. Randy's got a great mock draft over on his blog spot as well. So we'll get Randy on too. Let us know in the comments who else you guys want on, and we can try and swing that. It'd be fun to get Colby Cohen or Johnny Lazarus on, talk to them about some NCAA stuff since they're more into that stuff, right?
Right. I think it would be a good experience here for everyone. Learn a little bit more. We're a junior hockey chat, so I think it'd be great for us to get a little bit more insight on the NCAA game and what happens down south. But yeah, I think it'll be great to see what some other people have for insight.
Yeah, and Johnny and Colby, of course, run Morning Cup of Hockey over at Daily Faceoff. They are both ex-NCAA players. Colby is, of course, an ex-NHL defenseman. Colby scored that Boston University game winner years ago for them. Johnny played for UMass. There's a lot of connections to the NCAA there and a lot of stuff that we could learn. I think it'd be fun. John Bankart says Colby Armstrong. I've always wanted to talk to Colby, Red Deer Rebels legend. So I think that'd be fun if we could try and pull that off sometime because he's awesome. And obviously talk to him about his son Cruz getting drafted by Seattle. I think that'd be cool. Kind of see what happens there. Yeah, it'd be fun. Matt Murley, Big Willie Styles says Matt Murley. Matt Murley would be great to talk to. Him and I have DM'd a couple times just about betting stuff, of course, because I'm a degenerate that way. But man,
Yeah,
Steven was awesome.
I could possibly reach into my short list of connections, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, Steven was awesome. We really encourage you guys to go back and watch that. He told us some great stories about ball hockey, some food that he ate in Buffalo, and then gave us a great rundown on a handful of prospects. And we even chatted a little bit about the Islanders taking James Higgins. Would it happen? Would it not? We'll see.
All right, fellas. Well, we thank you for tuning in. There is 150 of you now watching. Like Colton said, go back and watch the full episode. We're live daily at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Colton Davies and Dayton Camo. This has been GDT Live.